Right. I'll bring everybody. Appreciate there's been a wee delay. I have to say, after a meeting in Wellington last week, we're not the only council that has problems with tech, so ongoing issue at times. The council, look, welcome to this first meeting of first official council meeting. Do we have any apologies? I don't think, well, we don't. Yes. Any declarations of interest? No. Yes, Linda.
Yes, when we get to the item about appointing a delegate to the Southern Community Broadcasters Trust, my husband is their manager, employed by that trust, so I'll stay out of that conversation.
Good otherwise. Well, we don't have any public forum petitions that I know of. Confirmation of the minutes of the 28th of October. Someone wants to move those if they are correct. Discussion regarding them. Put that, all in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Notification of extraordinary business. Anything regards that? Right. Move on to Chairman's report. Just my item. As you can see, there's been a few meetings in regards to that. I will, in due course, the regional chairs induction and sector group meeting in Wellington. I will give you a bit of a take you on due course. Hang on. Just it was great to actually meet all the. There's quite a few new faces around the regional sector. It's been a bit of a change, so it's good to meet all the new chairs, and obviously have a wee bit of few speakers around. We're all, of course, asking questions to the government. We want to know when things are coming, and as we know, they will be coming sooner than later. Certainly before a lot of stuff going to be coming down to the councils and policies are going to be made before Christmas. So I will do a more written report to that in due course. So otherwise we've got those meetings. I think last Phil, a few of us went yesterday. Dave, Lyndall, Roger and Phil to the Zone 6 meeting, but I might ask Phil to give a wee bit of a briefing on that. Again, you write it up for probably the next meeting. Is there any questions in regards to it? Yes, John.
Yeah, just on your report for the volunteer engagement, to see if the groups come up as an interest, as a member, I would suggest maybe we could line it up with our fortnightly water testing for council to visit and see how the group engage with the community through its free nitrate testing meetings we have every fortnight on a Friday.
Yeah, okay. We should be able to do it. We'll look in the new year, just where that fits in. Good opportunity where there is on Southland's heading. Any other questions in regards to my? No. I'm happy to move that, or do we need to move that? Okay, well, I'll move that. Second, all in favour, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. We'll move on to councillor's report. We have one there from Morris. Do you want to speak to your?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, just briefly, I do need to acknowledge that most of this report was written by Chris Rance, who is on the committee of the Land Care Group, because she wrote a very good description of what happened on that day. The last paragraph is mine, and I just wanted to say that this group is a fine example of a long-term project. It really has been a long-term project, restoring native forests from open pasture by a small group of determined and knowledgeable people. Good numbers of people come to help on planting day, support from ES, other staff, and then the Auckland City Council have also made a difference. And the Otatara School and high schools have been involved. So we want to go there. Access to the area is from the eastern end of Bryson Road in Otatara, and there are well-maintained tracks in the area. So yeah, just really want to put that in, Mr. Chairman, because it's a really good example of a community group doing a lot of good and help make Southland better.
Linda?
Thanks, Chairman. I'm just wondering, councillor Rodway, how the succession is looking. Have they got lots of new, younger, regular members? Because those current members, I know I've just spent many years, they got people coming through.
Not really. Oh, it's a few younger ones there, but yeah, it's an issue. Lots of schools are involved, but they're not really in the administration of the whole of the organisation there.
Okay, anybody have questions for Morris or any other reports? Phil?
Yeah, having attended 2 or 3 activities recently, just a quick update on those. The first one was the Rio Tinto Community Forum on the 11th of November, I think. Lyndall, you were also there. Yeah. Just to report that was the evening before they Smelter released this performance and progress update for 2024-25, which is now publicly available. I would just observe that they spoke, probably they were far more optimistic perhaps than on previous years when there was a bit of a uncertainty over the future of the smelter. Now that certain uncertainty has been resolved for at least the next 20 years, the team seem far more positive and optimistic. They did speak with some pride around their demand response capability, where they will shut down some of their operations to ensure that there is continuity of power supply for the rest of the country. They have 4 levels of demand response, the biggest being 185 megawatts. Over the term of the 20-year of that agreement, they are obliged to deliver up to 3 of those 185 megawatt demand responses. You've already used 1 last year. The point they said, though, is that when they do activate it, it takes a number of months, and they've only just got the pot line that they took offline. They've only just back up to full capacity now. So it's not a minor thing to take the response of that magnitude. And they also spoke highly of their environmental remediation efforts that are ongoing in conjunction with iwi. Any other points that you?
Chairman, the only other thing I'd say was that I was there wearing a different hat. I was there as a member of a community group that I'm involved with as a councillor.
Thriving Southland AGM on the 30th of November, and there was election of new director. Then I note that Ewan was standing down as a director at that point from Thriving Southland. And I think that perhaps the key message I took from that AGM was that Thriving Southland are challenged annually with their understanding the funding opportunities or uncertainty of the funding for the subsequent year. So they remain sort of fixated on, are we going to have money to continue our operations in the subsequent years? 2 very good briefings after the AGM on different projects, one in Waiau and one in the Waikawa. And then just finally, yesterday's Zone 6 Local Government New Zealand conference. I'd say it was a pretty balanced program, a lot of variety in what was presented. Perhaps a little bit depressing to hear from DIA and the range of change and reform that is approaching us, but certainly very inspirational presentations from Mike Casey at Electrify Aotearoa and his team, and Sir Ian Taylor closed with a pretty inspirational presentation, which was, I think, a good way to end on a high note around the opportunities that are emerging even for local government as we harness AI and post-AI world. So there'll be more detailed summary bullet points I can provide on that. LGNZ 6 conference. Just need a few days to collate those bullet points and share them with the team. So.
Paul?
Thank you, Chair. Just noting that I attended the Written Party meeting. With great sadness, I was stood down as chair. That can be passed on. A very capable person. It was really good to get the full set of reports from Meridian and all of the groups and stakeholders at the meeting. We also had another councillor in a dual role there as well, which was really good. Meridian will be starting their, hopefully, their lake structure process in the upcoming year with the channel and fulfilling their obligations going forward. I've also been invited and will be attending the AGM for the Field and Guardian on the 26th of this month, so I'll report back on that. And also the next day, hopefully shooting over to Doubtful for the day, which will be good with the ministers and representatives from the Department of Conservation. anyway, so very, very good to report back on that. And, so the new year.
Very good. Any, John?
Yeah, just a quick one. Had the opportunity last month, as right during the storm season, actually through Nuffle Travels to join the committee of the UN FAO PSE, which is the Farmers and Agriculture Private Sector Engagement Committee. Just we got a bit of a rundown on where things are heading globally with the thinking. It looks like potentially emissions for agriculture might be. This is based really around food security is their target, linking to consumption rather than population. So they're starting to realise exporting nations like New Zealand have some heavy challenges around managing those emissions when they are part of the strategic global food network. And surprisingly, I was quite surprised to hear that they do recognise livestock as part of the food chain globally, and working with them is probably going to be more of a focus around how nitrates and livestock interact. They do believe it's going to be the commodity in the next decade. It's going to be where it's head around quality and quantity, and even a focus on countries, how they're using water. So just that was the general feeling around anyway, so I just thought I'd share.
Thanks for that. Questions or reports? No, can I have a move for those reports, please? Paul, second it. Jeff, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
It's carried. On to rate, but there's no questions that I know of. So we'll move straight into the CE's report, 9.1.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I'll just highlight, I'll take the report as read. I just want to highlight a couple of things. I wanted to talk initially about the severe weather event we had back on 23rd of October. Seems like a distant memory now, doesn't it? Apart from when you drive through to Dunedin yesterday and the evidence the whole way through. It's quite look, it certainly had a devastating and wide-ranging impact on our community in our region. And look, we're continuing to work closely with EMS, property owners, farmers, and support agencies and our fellow councillors to assist with the recovery. It did provide a good test of our own systems and processes, and has provided some useful insights into our planning, digital planning. And there's a few key things that I want to highlight. And touched on the report. Our monitoring network, there were some minor damages to flood warning sites that were quickly sorted out. Some sites lost power and communication on flood watch, which was a concern. But the data updates were addressed as cell towers came back online. There was quite a bit of damage in our flood schemes, including along the Winton Stream and the Makarura tributaries. The Invercargill flood banks and walkways also had numerous fallen trees, and there were damaged fences and obstructing access. There was a particular area of concern around Aotearoa, where tree fall comprised a section of floodplain. So work is ongoing to clean up and do the repairs across the network. In the compliance area, we paused our dairy inspections following the event and increased the use of education first approach. In terms of advice, we had a dedicated site on our website with relevant information and on land sustainability and our land sustainability advisors and biodiversity advisors have been providing support to farmers as part of the rural response. In the maritime area, we had a call out in the Bluff harbour where a vessel had broken its bow during the storm, and with risk of breaking free, but it was successfully resecured under some pretty challenging situations, as I'm sure you know. Look, the emergency management team, I just want to acknowledge that team. They were superb during the event, and we had a lot of staff across the organisation that were involved in it, who made themselves available. And they were a real key. I mean, I sort of called in a couple of times, and there were a lot of mayor's faces there, so it was great to see. So I want to acknowledge our team assisting in that, and there's a number of them in the room as well, but also the EMS team as well. So thank you from me, and I'm sure. Look, in the agenda today, I want to there's highlighted in today's agenda the Contact South and Wind Farm, and the recently announced $14.9 million from Kanoa for further climate resilience project. So these are big investments in our region, and certainly significant. Also want to highlight in the consents area. Consents team's got a lot of work on its plate, and working really hard, as they always do, of course. I'm looking at Haley, who's nodding furiously. So the Data Grid New Zealand Limited Partnership has lodged applications for a hyperscale data centre at Makarua, and that includes a subsea cable to Australia. This proposal was really significant for regional connectivity, and also for economic development. And the consent's is under assessment. And also there's a Waikaka gold mine consent. There's a joint hearing with the Gore District Council was scheduled through to December regarding the Waikaka Gold Mines Limited application to establish and operate a gold mine near Waikaka Township. So it's attracted 29 submissions reflecting strong community support, community interest. Maybe support's a wee bit one week. Chair, happy to take any questions on the rest of the report.
I've got a point of just to thank again in regards to the state of emergency and reiterate it. And I just want to that just to thank our team and pass on. Hopefully Lucy can pass on to all the EMS staff and all the other organisations. I think it's real. When disaster does strike, New Zealand's south rolls up her sleeves, and we certainly get in and help each other. And it's great to see the community look after each other in these examples. And also, you know, I do have a family member involved in the Lions Company, the work those guys did on the Lions Company, and pretty hair-raising at times too. But they were trying their darndest, working huge hours to get the power back to the community. So it's just big thanks to everyone, really. So, and we're certainly highly supportive of EMS in regards to that too. So the work done there. Questions? Yeah, Alistair.
I'd just like to thank you, Rob, because this is easy reading. It's all set out. You can understand it, move through. They say your contract's temporary, but it may need to be.
I just want to reinforce it's a temporary contract. And also, the staff pulled this report together, and it's got to be easy to read because I've got to read it. So I really put it.
It's great.
Thank you for the thing.
Thank you, Rob. Just regarding the freshwater program, I see the engagement of drop-in sessions. Engagement around 30 farmers, it's good. So how do the team feel it's going, those drop-in sessions? And obviously we'll be continuing on that program around the region, so hopefully up around Alistair's area.
Look, we haven't got Sam here today, but look, from my point of view, and I could also, Simon's at the back, he can jump in if he feels need to. I think they're going well. You know, it's always good to engage with farmers and get them in the room and talk about, you know, here's what we can offer, we can add, and just to discuss the issues they have.
I really like where it says the opportunity to pre-book a session with the farm plan advisor, you know, because we've got to be helpful. And I really like that idea that we're out there assisting and helping instead of just checking. Yeah, thank you, Rob.
Anything you wanted to add to that, Sam?
Well, yes, thank you. Yes, I agree with Councillor Gibson. That's a very good report. The few questions, one about the emergency and what's going to happen in the future, what planning is, if any, I'm sure there will be some. Are we thinking of to make things better in some other event in the future? And indeed, the earthquake that is overdue to happen that caused massive power outages. I was talking to Joseph Mooney at the LGNZ workshop that we had at the Kelvin Hotel. He was impressed by yeah, I think it was in the Catlin area somewhere by a company that had a solar panels and had a battery, and that they were able to get through this, without many problems at all, because they had the backup power source. And I think from what he was saying, and I know that there's opportunities for farmers to have these sorts of systems. And I'm not saying that, it's suitable for everybody, but I wonder that the overall question is, what is Emergency Management Southland doing, and what do we plan to do? Do we know to make sure that there's a better backup supply of power for people? And people no doubt have been buying lots of generators, but there's alternative systems as well. So have we got a plan?
I'll get Lucy up. Look, there's always a debrief after these events, and I'm sure there'll be one of those. A lot of learnings. And I think the region as a whole is also doing a lot of learning. I know dairy farmers, from what I hear, for people I talk to, are certainly a real lesson around, everyone should have a generator. So I think some of those things are happening. And also the presentation yesterday around electrification also highlighted the opportunity with solar that you talked about. So, but there'll be a debrief and there'll be some learnings, but Lucy, you'll fill in the gaps.
So, answering a couple of stages, if that's okay. So first up to Rob's point, there will be a debrief. There are already debriefs underway. So that's the kind of debrief. So straight after an event, we get as many people together as you can and feedback from multiple places. So this week we were out with the Lifelines Forum, talking to them about what their learnings were, and the EMS staff coordinated a national lifeline coordinator to come down and to help with that facilitated conversation. So around that table included the PowerNet teams as well as the TAs, councils and their roading staff, water staff. So it was a good broad conversation around kind of what learnings they'd found. So in the short term, we've got debriefs happening. Anybody who was involved, anybody who was impacted, there'll be a survey going out to seek feedback quite widely. So that's the short-term answer. The slightly medium to longer-term answer around resilience more broadly, we've obviously got the group plan, which governs and outlines what EMS's role is and how we do the business there. That just closed for consultation, so that needs to come back to council, all 4 of the councils, in terms of where to next with that. But it's based on the National Resilience Strategy, and the key part of that is connecting into our climate change adaptation conversations and making sure we're taking the opportunities where we can to really broaden that understanding of resilience. The third part of my answer would be that we've already started the conversations with the likes of Great South and with the Chamber to talk about business continuity planning, making sure that there's preparedness messaging going out where people are replacing shelter belts, what would recommend they replace them with, those kinds of messages, making sure we're weaving them through a broad range of different stakeholders and partners. So a lot happens right after a response, but I think as long as we keep learning from it and building in those learnings across the various work programs, we'll set ourselves up better for the future.
Thank you. Sorry, Phil, you got a question for
me? Yeah, just a very short one. Comms, as far as cell towers and such, like, what influence does EMS or councils have on supporting change there? Because that was if you threw an earthquake in on top of that, it could have been a real mess. I know there was real panic around getting cows from the dairy farm itself, but there was some decisions made me to prepare, and then had to come to the region can't run with that sort of fun.
So during any kind of an emergency, there's multiple layers of response. I guess in preparedness, in the early days, you've got more time to kind of leverage those relationships and decisions. The telcos are mostly managed nationally. So in the response we've just been through, the coordination of the generators that they needed and the ability to bring them down, that was all coordinated nationally. We have a telecommunications forum that means that we don't want to pick up the phone and try and get hold of staff, or that wouldn't be particularly well coordinated. So they were the go-to for us in terms of our priority areas. But in the readiness space, we've got a bit more opportunity to influence. So they were around the table at the Lifelines Forum.
But others might have some.
Just in regards to that, obviously the industry, there is going to be a lot of the industries we need to have a good look at how we do things. I got caught out seriously in regards to, I think nobody thought we'd be out of power within 5 days. So I think it's going to require us as question. There's going to be, I think, there'll be a huge investment in Plan B, having that ability to carry on without it, and certainly in the rural sector, they're looking at that. I think they need to take responsibility, and I think they will take responsibility.
Through the response, both MPI, Fonterra, Dairy NZ and others were all involved in the Emergency Coordination Centre, and making sure that we're more joined up with our information as we move forward, so that we know where there's people who haven't got prepared or aren't prepared, so our help where we need to, was definitely one of the big things. So, yeah.
Well, you know, I know if you listen to Mike Casey, I don't know if there's a role for us or whether we think it's right or not, but you know, promoting solar with battery backup has got a whole lot of other benefits as well. So the other question, Mr. Chairman, was on page 19. You're talking about discussion was to look up and set up 1 or 2 research farms with farmers to go on and farm system. That and possibly that could be on council land. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
There's been some early discussions held, I guess, to be fair to say. And I'm looking for the team to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we'll be coming back before we got too much further in that space once we had some wonderful effort. Just giving you a bit of a heads up. Is that fair to the team? Yeah. So yeah, we'll be coming back to you.
Oh yeah, okay. No, well that sounds quite interesting. On page 30, you talk about governance support, and something we've talked about before, but it hasn't happened to my knowledge. And I wonder whether it would be a good idea for us at some stage for elected members to have a tour of the building and talk to, or you know, see what it's all made up. It's quite a big operation. Talk to individual groups so we get a good understanding of what each part of the organisation does.
It's a great idea. I think we can easily manage that. But I think it's going to be a challenge. I'm looking down. It's a yes. Yes, it's a big yes.
Okay.
We can make that work. Yeah. I think we've done it before in the past. Back in yeah, but it's
Yeah, I can't remember doing it. But,
yeah, I have to tidy my desk, council.
thank you.
20 people into Rob's office. That you finished them out.
Yes, thank you.
You know, for you and then sorry, other three of you. Have you got something in regards to that, or
Going to say that if you use those research funds also to promote environment south and then what we do. Make it up.
you? Sorry.
Yeah, well, it was a question for Lucy, really. So just in regards to the response, Lucy, are we, as power companies, going to be a bit more aggressive around managing, trees adjacent to our infrastructure? Because that's probably one of the key things we've probably been a bit slack on this province.
So through your chair, my understanding from the conversations through the response was that was being flagged, and that one of the conversations I was party to with the ministers was around that as well, was making sure that we've got the legislative levers that we need in order to be able to assist with both the soft carrot and making sure that people know what they should and could be doing, but also the stick when we need it. So my understanding is the power nets and also the lines agencies are actually directly in conversation on that, but I can certainly dig a little because they want to find out.
Yeah, when we're talking about the right tree in the right place, we've actually got to address some of the issues we've got at present.
We're in discussion with the MPs, having a look around the province. That was certainly very upfront about where trees are in regards to our infrastructure. So hopefully we can work on that. Hang on, I'll just. Oh.
Thank you. And perhaps just to follow on, one of the conversations that I listened to on one of the Zoom meetings, we mentioned that the current rules are 4 metres is the standoff distance for trees, but much of the damage was delivered by trees beyond the 4 metre. And so essentially the current rules kind of, you might argue, are not fit for purpose on that particular front. I'm just going to observe comment on resilience that might also be reinforced through the work of the climate change working group. We work into our draft climate action plan for the next 12 months, and we heard about the ratepayers assistance scheme yesterday that might also provide a mechanism. So and acknowledging that it's often an individual business or household responsibility to build resilience. It's around understanding what are the things that we can do to either remove obstacles or make it easier for people to build resilience. And that'll be a focus for us. I'm just going to comment on and commend the team who have put together the how-to guide to developing a Southland farm plan. I've had a play with that material, had a look at it, and it seems really thorough and helpful and really good. The one area that I wonder if there might be a need for a little bit more, perhaps a YouTube video or something to show people how to use the Southland catchment context tool. And I say that because with the farming family, they often turn to me as the person who gives them technical advice on how to use computers. And if I struggle with it, then I struggle to help them. And it wasn't quite as intuitive as I thought it might be in terms of getting started. So that might be one area that would be helpful. But sure, that's taken on board.
David, did you have a question?
No, I didn't. Well, I guess the only point I'd make to you is that on tree rigs, I know they have been getting upgraded nationally, and there was a big push down here. There's a lot of money spent by Pioneer on them, and absolutely they need tweaked. Yeah.
Certainly see maybe a change in the future in there. Sorry, Phil.
Sorry, I should mention there's a climate action public perception survey that is currently live. I would encourage councillors to potentially engage with that and perhaps share the link to people in their community to engage with that. 2 years ago, when we ran the first version of that survey, we used councillors as a kind of a guinea pig population to test the survey before we let it loose into the wild. We're not doing that this year, so this will be your one chance to engage with it while it's live for the next couple of weeks, and please dive into that.
Thanks, Phil. Can someone move that report? Sorry. Other questions?
Sorry, just with regards to the tree right place, I just wanted to suggest that upcoming, we're talking about issues currently, there's also going to be upcoming issues in the future. It's been noted by the ratepayer tree planting on Bilge Hill West, prevailing winds, native species area, reserves. So there's a fair bit of stuff that's going to happen in the future that people are 5 years ago they wouldn't have even picked up on, but now they're raising it and picking up on. By tree right place.
Very good. Right, movement. Yeah. Morris, Roger, second at all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Right, move on to 9.2, government legislation. Very good. Lead. Floor yours.
Tēnā koutou. It's a pleasure to bring the latest version of the policy meter to you this morning. As a reminder, it is a tool designed to keep you informed of the national policy changes, so that you can make decisions with more confidence and clarity. And it is a public document made available on the Environment Southland website, and we'll give it away to make it accessible, and it is regularly shared with a range of stakeholders. And updates from the previous version have been highlighted in red for you. I'd like to provide a summary of key updates and go over the pages. Please feel free to follow along. So as noted on page 3, the government has introduced the fast track approvals amendment bill to further enhance efficiency. And the consultation closed recently on the 17th of November, and Environment Southland contributed to the consultation process indirectly through interaction with the visionary sector. And on page 5, it has been noted that national policy directions are still on the way, so we are waiting them to be released so that we can staff can analyze implications arising from the national direction changes. And then these to the underneath, we have a section on the resource management phase 3 reform that will be achieved through introduction of 2 replacement skills. They are expected to land sometime soon. Not exactly sure. It was indicated that it might be early December, but it could be earlier or later. We'll advise you as soon as possible. Then adopting a strategic approach to this process is essential because of the scale of the change that's coming. So staff have been undertaking analysis on selected topics and using available information. We are drafting key points, and we plan to deliver bring to you the key points as soon as possible. The consultation we may close at the end of January or early February, so we will keep communicating with you about the time. Turning to the topic of climate change, so the government has recently released, it's on page 43, Conventional Adaptation Framework was released. It was a relatively short document that provided a broad direction. And further details are expected to be released through amendments to the Climate Change Response Act that they may become available early next year. Keep you informed. Biogenic methane targets, on the topic of climate change emission targets, the government has announced the target will be changed from 24 to 37% to 14 to 24% below 2017 levels. A relevant legislation is likely to be released sometime soon, because by the end of the year. An opportunity for public consultation, get environment staff and may submit this matter. And moving on to the topic of biodiversity and biosecurity, we can turn to page 47. We have a picture on draft herd management plan for Wapiti. So the Department of Conservation is currently undertaking a public consultation on the draft management plan. Staff have been collaborating to develop a draft submission, which we will be bringing to you in the next week or so for your review and reform. Lastly, I would like to draw your attention to page to page 54. Examples bill that we defined earlier. The final bill, the final act came out in October, and there have been some positive changes that align with our submission, including allowing compensation when there is severe impairment of value of property rather than just severe hurt. Other than some changes, key principles and the existence of the regulatory standards board remain largely the same. So the immediate implications are not yet clear, primarily because they depend a lot on the operation of the regulatory standards board. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But yeah, there could be significant implications, especially considering that the upcoming resource management reform is expected to strengthen their property rights. So staff will be keeping a close eye on what happens in this space. Brings me to the end of my summary.
All good. Yes.
Great, thank you, Jim. Just on that last topic, actually, the regulatory standards bill. I'm pleased that there's been a wording change to severe impairment. And I haven't investigated what that might mean. Did they provide a definition of severe impairment? How do you decide what's severe and what isn't?
In UK, I don't believe the government has provided a definition of severe impairment. So you may really don't matter the virus this, and that would be more consideration of existing case law. The new analysis recommendation.
Anyone else? John?
Being it's taken 2/3 of their term, this government to get to this point, what sort of understanding do we have of how wrapped up this is going forward if we see a shift in politics in Wellington? Is this quickly unravelled or is it a continuation?
Well, Marcus got
Who wants to answer?
Through you, Chair, effectively, I guess it is an act, so it can be amended and repealed. It seems like one that this Polish government's been pretty weird with, so yeah, I guess you just see if it's then get time and what amendments may be changed over time as it gets in and get further analysis.
Through you, Chair, I do note that the Labor Party announced their intention to repeal the Reading Care Standards Act within the first 100 days of government. Should that be?
Doesn't look like you're gonna have much time off for Christmas anyway. On the sounds of the government. I mean, that is always a concern when you try to work through all the stuff the government's coming to us. It seems to be always at a time when people are very happy to go on holiday and we're left sorting it out. So I think it's going to be a lot coming down next week, near future for us to do. So we'll have to deal with it in due course. No more questions. Good. Thank you very much for that. I'll move we recommend to receive that report. Lyndall. Hello. All vote say aye. Yes, yeah. Right, move on to 9.3, the Contact Southland Wind Farm fast track approvals act. Comment in there, who we got? Bruce, welcome.
Yes.
You present this, please.
Thank you very much for running, councillors. Take the report as read, but just highlight a few key points. This is the first substantive application of the Fast Track Approvals Act that has reached the stage of being available for substantive comments from this council. I'll just sort of highlight on first corner on page 57. I think probably you understand this, but under the Fast Track Approvals Act, which was enacted late last year, effectively kicked in early this year, Environment Southland isn't the decision maker with respect to these applications. The decision maker is the panel appointed by the EPA. So the Environment Protection Authority has appointed a 5-person panel, as outlined in the report, to consider this application and make the decision. So effectively, this is an opportunity that Environment Southland has to feed its comments into the process. Little development from when I wrote this report yesterday, we received a minute from the EPA, which outlined the panel has gone through and identified the parties who are able to make comment on this application. There's quite a few of them. There's in the order of 60 or so parties who can feed into the process. That includes the relevant government agencies, Mana Whenua agencies as well. Also, interestingly, the Parliamentary Commission of the Environment and the Environmental Defence Society. But also, and I think positively, the community has been given a reasonably broad opportunity to provide input. That's the local community in the area surrounding the site. So that's entirely the decision of the EPA panel as to who has participation rights. So I think helpfully the take on board the feedback we gave that we felt that it was important that the local community be given the opportunity to have input into this process. So effectively, to cut the long story short, we have a relatively discrete opportunity between now and the 17th of December, providing Environment Southland input. And these are Fast Track projects are big projects, as it's stated in the report. This is a $1 billion+ project, arguably the biggest project in Southland since Tiwai.
and it's really important that you have the opportunity to provide feedback into this process on behalf of Environment Southland. Those of you that were around the table last time this came before you, this application is under the Fast Track Approvals Act. There was a previous application which Environment Southland commented on in July last year, which is under the COVID-19 Fast Track legislation, which had a different purpose. And at that stage, Environment Southland's comment was broadly supportive, but highlighting some local sensitivities that we felt the panel should closely consider. At the moment, we have an opportunity to provide comment. The purpose of this report was to get some feedback from yourselves as to where you think this comment should land. The report suggests that the staff should be broadly similar. Based on our policy framework, this isn't the staff fee or anything like that. We've based that on our policy framework under the regional policy statement and more recently your position statement that was developed by the previous council around renewable energy. So the suggestion here in the staff report, which is entirely open for discussion, is that the Environment Southland substantive comment should be broadly supportive of the project in terms of the renewable energy benefits, but should also highlight that there are some real strong sensitivities on the site of the application. It's an area, if you're familiar with the Jupiter Pool, it's a big area. It has a regionally important wetland concrete plant. It's got some important bat habitat. It's got habitat for other species, etc. So that's been the focus of our technical working group that's been working through this at a staff level, and we would anticipate that it would continue to be a focus on issues that we would raise, and I would expect that other parties would raise as well. So I'll probably take the rest of the report as read and happy to answer some questions. I did have a PowerPoint presentation, unfortunately, I'm not sure that it's accessible, but it had a few slides that would show where the site is for those of you that weren't around the table last time around.
Thank you, Chris. Eric?
Yeah, I did read the report and I might have missed it, but timeframes for this and when an expected decision is likely to be imminent.
Through you, Mr. Chair, good question. There is a timetable that's been set by the EPA panel convener. We have an opportunity here to make substantive comments to the 17th of December. But the intention is, and the timetable anticipates a decision issuing by 16th of April next year.
Thank you.
Okay, John?
Yeah, thanks. I might have missed it, but it's just obviously with this being stop, start, and industry looking for solutions is being just, people had to move on decisions around power supply. The original one looked to have a three-way split. Is that still the plan?
No, that actually has changed. Unfortunately, it was in that presentation, but they originally, as you said, had three effectively reticulation lines out of the site to connect with the national grid. That has been amended to one only. So
where's it?
It's heading out sort of northeast from the site.
That's
Speaking into the grid through that direction, yeah. Similar to what Kaiwera is.
I guess my question would be, what is it adding as far as resilience around that weather event that we had? Originally the three-way, we had options.
Yeah, it's a good question. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm no electricity reticulation engineer, so I'm not sure I can answer that. I guess at a macro level, the proposal adds approximately 1.2 gig of renewable energy into the network. How that's distributed from there, I couldn't answer fully. So
good. Paul?
Thank you. It was a very good report, really well written down. It's good to hear that there's so many groups or parties that can feed in the information process. It sort of heartens me that hopefully a very good decision will come out from because there's so many. What are your thoughts on the process so far? We've done a good process so far. I think you're in the game with this far in process. How do you think this one's gone?
I was just going to ask a question. I don't know whether you want. I mean, are you happy to answer that, or just from,
Yeah, I can answer that.
whether it's your personal opinion or is it
An answer.
is it a management decision?
Transparency of the
Sorry.
process to date, the panel convener ran an excellent, panel convener session, that's by Judge Jane Borthwick, who some of you possibly recalls involved in that with the land planning process. She ran an excellent session, which everybody, it's fully transparent, everybody can look at that online. There was a live stream and it's all been recorded. So to date, we've had good transparency. The process does move fast, there's no question about that. And so we need to be prepared to provide inputs at the appropriate time. But generally speaking, happy with the process. Obviously, a concern that's expressed around it with some parties around the fast track process is participation rights as compared to a standard track notified application where anyone can submit on anything. Yeah, if a standard track notified application that we would deal with here, anyone can submit, so you can submit from anywhere in New Zealand and anyone can do so. Under the Fast Track Act, the rights are confined to those participant parties identified by the panel. But pleasingly, as I said, there has been an opportunity for local input into that.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. Appreciate your comments and that our regional policy statement, supports renewable energy for a number of reasons. But going forward, I think it's important that people we're speaking to are reminded that renewable policy statement is not in isolation only about renewable energy. There are a number of our policy positions and statements that really dovetail into this conversation, and I personally can't stress enough the importance of the biodiversity, security, infrastructure, and the community views on all of those things. Although we are generally supportive of renewable energy, we're also supportive of a whole lot of other things too that must be stressed in my view in that conversation.
Yes, Chairman, that's a very good point. And maybe so for example, we have a position statement on wetlands, and the site contains an important wetland, so that's been a factor in the feedback that we've been providing on this project is that get the renewable energy benefits, but there's a really important wetland complex here, and the applicant should be doing everything they can to mitigate the effects on that. In that respect, they have done some further work since the previous declined application. They've done some further work on refining the impacts on the wetland network and doing some hydrogeology work and engineering work around mitigating the potential for the wind turbine foundations to drain adjacent wetlands during the construction process. It's not just a single lens that we need to apply to this, it's a multi-lens approach.
Yeah. That's been very good, John.
Just one more, sorry. If the rule that my understanding was the Minister Jones is putting it into the next 100 metres of wetlands. Would that be a lever exercise to get around this?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think so. The panel will be looking at the application as it stands through the current lens. I guess we can't prejudge what may change in the future, but no, don't see that as a significant issue. As I said, Contact Energy is well aware, and we've had from the get-go in discussions with them that the effects on the wetland complex was a key issue for environment. And to be fair to them, they have done some further work on refining and refining information.
No, that's good, Roger. Last one.
Through you, Mr. Chair, thanks for the really good report on the subject. You mentioned a couple of times there that some further work has been done in this application to address the concerns that were previously raised. I'm just wondering if you're able to either let us know how far that's gone in terms of addressing those, or perhaps it's in your PowerPoint and we might get that shared subsequently. But yeah, keen to understand when we might get see any of that's needed, how adequately those concerns have been addressed.
Yes, so again, Jim, I can sort of probably touch on that briefly verbally. It's probably on page 57 of the agenda. Those 3 bullet points are possibly the 3 most significant elements that they've done significant work on since the previous application. There has been a lot of high geology work undertaken in relation to wetland complex, as I mentioned. There's been quite a lot of refinement. They're proposing by way of the application quite a significant biodiversity package, which includes enhancement of a wetland that they've purchased to the north of the site. Also includes significant contribution towards habitat enhancement in the Catlins State Forest Park. There's also a community fund to be established. There's a range of measures to mitigate or offset the impacts on biodiversity. We can certainly highlight through the submission process, seeking some feedback from the biodiversity team to inform our position on that. But we'll certainly bring that back to you in those final submission comments to review and assess your level of comfort. I guess the question is, are we fully comfortable with that package? At this point in time, we're still working that through the technical level, so I can't fully.
Okay. That's good, good discussion there. So we've got 4 recommendations there, but it's basically, we're pretty happy with where we're heading there. That process, but you'll be back on December the 10th.
That's right.
Present your comments.
Mr. Chairman, the intention is to take this feedback. We just wanted to effectively sense check the direction of travel and see what the comfort level was for councillors, noting the time frame, so we can then take that general feedback and frame it up into something that you can further consider on the 10th. Just a slight aside to this, the panel is visiting the site on the 27th, so next, whatever that is, Friday, Thursday. And they also requested the use of the chambers here on Wednesday afternoon for a panel discussion with the participant parties, so we'll be attending that as well. So the EPA panel work should be using the chambers here as opposed to that.
All good. So can I have a move?
So maybe the 4 recommendations.
All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carry. That's the process. Move into 9.4. Yep, hold on, Rachel, we'll just pass over to you in regards to this and I'll talk things out.
All right. So firstly, if we just take the report as read, and we're here to resolve and set the committees and appoint members to the committees for the triennial. The report itself actually sets out 4 options for the council to consider, and these were actually detailed in the report following the workshop with the council on the 10th of November, together with some additional feedback that we received following the workshop. Just wanted to actually point out the recommendations on page 2, and in option 4 there is actually an error where it says the next 12 months. It should state the next 6 months, which is actually further down in the recommendation. That is also an error in the page 66 where it actually again says 12 months. It should actually state 6. Just going to clarify that for you. Also on page 65, you'll note that the preferred option or recommendation is option 4 for reasons that it maintains continuity, it enables planning and stakeholder engagement. It provides a clear pathway for governance to align with strategic priorities, and it also enables that approach of a 6-month transition period if we do actually decide to change to a different committee. And now, have you got anything else to add, Rachel?
Perhaps just to add that the feedback and the discussions at the workshop will not only obviously inform the decision today, but also the terms of reference that are taken forward to the committees for adoption in due course. So thank you very much.
So just to clarify, the terms of reference will get adopted at the first committee. Setting them today. Okay.
Right, well, we'll open up to discussion, no doubt people have say here, some more than others, maybe. Who'd like to lead? Questions?
I'm happy to open. I'll just point out that in terms of the practical working arrangements that emerge for the council members as a result of today's decision, in my mind, option 4 is in essence the same outcome as option 1, albeit just with some background work by staff to revisit and consider what might change in the future, which I would expect the council would have the freedom and obligation to undertake anyway on an interim basis. We should be questioning and challenging our structures as we continue our work, accepting that analysis would occur over a 6-month period. I'm imagining that then it would take time to work through the decision if we were to make any changes subsequently. So I would expect in the 6 to 12-month period, changes would be implemented if we felt that would be appropriate under option 4. Would that be correct? 6 months to analyse and then a few months to enact any change that was agreed upon?
Yes, so when we put forward the 6-month timeframe, what we were thinking was 6 months to develop a completely with fresh terms of reference, but absolutely it would take further period of time to embed the new approach, which obviously needs to connect to work programs, and there is that, I guess, transition that would be required to get us to where we need to be.
Yeah, so in my mind, that would see us perhaps within the first year, if we were to make further changes, making those changes mid-triennium. And I'm not so sure if a change is mid-triennium will be significantly helpful to our routines, given that we'll be approaching the LTP period as well as a whole kind of reform from central government at that time. So I think I don't like option 4 for that reason personally. I originally suggested option 2 as an option. I would note that I saw that as an opportunity to advance a central theme that emerged from the regional forum work, that is promoting integrated catchment management more thoroughly and effectively than it might have been given attention in the past. A quick review that I've undertaken in the last 48 hours on the number of regional forum recommendations that have been enacted to date by the council following the submission of that report 3 years and 6 months ago or whatever it was. I struggle to actually find any recommendation that has been fully implemented and adopted by this council. So those 116 recommendations largely remain parked from that time. And if a founding member of the regional forum was to drop in and ask me how things were going 3 years and a few months on, I would say, no progress on your recommendation so far. I find that kind of a bit of a blight on the council if we were to let that situation to persist. So again, I see this as an opportunity to, within option 2, to rename Regulatory Services Integrated Catchment Management. I think it's an evolution, not a revolution, and that we would grow into integrated catchment management over a few years moving into the future. I also see it as getting us closer to our communities. As the central government signals we're moving away from a regulatory enabled regime to a more permissive regime, which emphasises individual property rights. So that's why I would advocate for options 2 in this instance.
Okay, thanks. So, Eric.
Yeah, I started on option 2, but I'm now leaning towards option 4, or an amalgamation of both. For this reason that what's in 2 makes sense and we need to move on that. But in terms of considering the overall structure, a third of our councillors are new. They haven't tasted what we've had, and in the spirit of inclusiveness, I think a review in 6 months to incorporate that's a good idea. And also, we've had notice today that the government is going to announce some local government reforms today, and I'm not sure if they're going to have any impact or not, but I'm sort of reluctant to lock ourselves into something when we might need to be loose-limbed and have a reflection in 6 months' time.
Just to the RMA.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
John?
I'm more in favour of option 2. I think, to Phil's point, we haven't really implemented anything from the regional forum. last premium, we thought there was plan change to a Tay coming along, they got scuppered. I think we need to get some runs on the board and actually get some stuff done around here. So I do think a shift of the regional services to re-catchment kickstarts and conversations and at least bring the community to the front of thinking of whole of catchment when we have these discussions. So whilst the government may limit their ability to do some things, at least when the reins are relaxed a wee bit, once we know where we're heading, we've got the community engaged and move forward.
Okay, thanks. Well,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm in favour of option 4. I think for the reasons that Eric put forward, that we don't actually know a lot of stuff and it could be affected. And also that we can have some consultation on and signal to the liaison committees about the change and get their feelings and nail down exactly what that is. So what that would mean, which is the work you do in the next 6 months that we will get to look over before we say yes.
okay. Yeah, Morris. And then
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, well, I was a bit puzzled how option 4 appeared as a new option that we hadn't discussed earlier. I understand that it is a way to ease into this. But I do agree with Phil that it's been disappointing that we haven't been able to implement those recommendations from the regional forum. That was a very important group and had a really wide representation from the whole community, city folk and rural people. So it is a bit of a black mark on us not being able to do that. And I would think that we should take the bull by the horns and really try to make some progress in this area. And by calling it an integrated catchment management committee, that signals that we are changing the way we're talking about slow the flow. We've had a big project done on the Matara River, like Kawa River has already got that kind of integrated catchment management philosophy about it. So I don't see it as anything that should threaten what's happening. I think it's a thing that we should do because we do need to make progress. One of the things that's frustrating about local government is that we take so long to do stuff. I've been on this council since 2007 and we have made some improvements, but very often we hear, oh no, we need to analyse this a bit more and we need to think about it a bit more before anything gets done. And that's rather frustrating. So I really think we should go for option 2, and I don't think it should be seen as a threat to people in the rural catchments.
option 2. Morris, Lyndall, Paul, and then Alistair.
Thanks, Chairman. I actually put forward option 3 as a suggestion. I've got some notes, so you'll have to bear with me. Because for me, it's important. I'm not disagreeing with option 2, actually. I'm perhaps suggesting that there's another way that it can be done. I think we all agree that it's integrated catchment management is essential, but it's how we embed it across the organisation meaningfully, and I don't think we quite understand that yet. Both approaches share the same intent, so we want better integration, clearer accountability and stronger partnerships with our communities in Te Ao Marama. But the question for me is how best we do that, how effectively we do that immediately. I think embedding it within the organisational structure as it mostly exists builds ownership. It aligns decisions better, embedding catchment thinking in every committee that drives delivery, and delivery informs policy, and science underpins both. It reflects how our community operates, our catchment groups, iwi partners and community organisations don't work in silos, and nor should we. It's administratively lean, I would hope, but strategically strong. It builds resilience because climate adaptation, biodiversity, and land water connections don't sit in one place, they cross every boundary. Our governance model should mirror that reality. How we reframe the Regional Services Committee, we're already testing that approach by reframing the Regional Services Committee. The structure I'm suggesting honours the original intent of ICM, I think. It makes it every committee accountable for their part in the catchment story, while ensuring that delivery, partnerships and community outcomes remain front and centre. It's not about where ICM sits, it's about how it's deeply built into our operations and our system and our networks. Following that, option 4, I could live with, because I think that's part of the step towards the change. But if we go for option 4, I would just like to suggest that maybe we shouldn't use the term 6 months, because that, I don't know. Because I think we have to be really careful that we align this, whatever work we're doing, with our annual plan requirements, which would be 30 June. And we have to have our annual plan signed off on 30 June. So rather than strictly thinking about 6 months, I think we maybe need to think about mid-year or within the annual plan timeframe, or whatever terminology you want to use. So that would be my comment about option 4. Really, I could live with option 4. But as I say, option 3 seems to me to be the best option. Thank you.
Paul.
Thank you, Chair, through you. It seems like perfect timing if we may. I was looking at option 2, but option 4 is a good move. It's pleasing to hear people, there's some positivity around making the change, whether it's now or in the near future. So that's quite pleasing for me. We have a delay in our catchment liaison AGMs, and very time for us staff to come in and prepare information for those, but we also need to include all the stakeholders, and we've done that through, no doubt, through the forum over the time. But I think it would be perfect timing to move through the process in the next 6 months of the year. Get the ball rolling. Change starts somewhere, and from what I'm hearing is it hasn't started, and there's probably one side or some sides that want it to start, and there's some sides that don't. But the majority is there's some pretty good positivity here. So I'd go option 4.
Alistair.
Option 2 is the way to go. Let's just get on with it and get things going. Remember, in the human race, you don't make a mistake, you don't learn. So let's get into it. The only thing I would say is that we could possibly initially break out the Kanoa funding to make that the movement of the integrated catchment management easier to embed in, and then maybe the Kanoa funding is either a subcommittee or it then blends back in again when things start to move. But what we've still got, if we go down to 4, we acknowledge that the council retains the flexibility to review at any stage. And then if we move down to 6, the council actually makes a decision in the end. So just let's get on with it.
So option 2, yes. Option 2, right. That's all good. You?
Yeah, option 2, and I think the critical part, and we have oversight of that, is June's reference to be fair.
Which is what I'm saying.
Jeff and Roger, we'll get everyone to. Oh, Roger, you go for it.
Yes, look, similarly, I'm strongly supportive of option two. It's important to send a strong signal to our communities that we want to make progress on the matters related to integrated catchment management, not just water quality, but moving away from discrete services that are not necessarily responding to issues that are driven at distal locations. So our territorial partners will be pleased, I'm sure, to hear that we are aware that the risks they face are not necessarily manifesting immediately within their boundaries.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, do you want to make a good comment or?
Look, I've been mulling over the whole board year. I don't want to see too big a work program for staff to go into this. Look, I think I'm a little bit like Alistair. I think perhaps option two may be the way to go. Get on with it. Certainly the integrated catchment management committee. That's a really important part for me. So, yeah, I think option two I'd be comfortable with at this stage.
Okay, no, I think we've been around apart from myself. Yeah, look, I'm probably comfortable with option two, but and I think Eric wants to ask her. We amend. Well, I'll let you make that amendment because that's probably important.
Yeah, having made my comment, I would like to move an amendment that we adopt option two, but include a review not before 6 months.
Yeah. People are comfortable with that. So we can keep an eye on it, like we've got to look, as it's structured. Obviously, we go through the terms and reference and for committee understanding. I take the discreet as a Jan. So, yeah, look, are we comfortable with?
So does that
adding
go
6 month
number 4? No, it goes on the end of option two. Just include the words that then the council is tasked with a review, not before 6 months.
But number 4 says the council can retain some flexibility to review and amend committee structure.
Yeah, but option 4 doesn't change the.
It doesn't change the integrated catchment approach, which we've all kind of agreed we need to move on.
Yeah. Good. With just in regards to that, and I take a flavour that that's where option two is secondary.
I'm secondary.
Roger, we all in favour of that?
Yeah, of the amendment.
Of the amendment.
It's not actually moving the motion because the council staff recommendations don't have status until somebody moves them. So what he is moving is two with that amendment.
So just to also to clarify that we need to have in regards to the climate change subcommittee, if we do put, because it's just indicates in option 1, so we want that bring that into option 2. Is that correct? So the regards with climate change subcommittee remain established and functions incorporated into the S&P committee. So we need to bring that into the side. Are you happy to do that too? So yes. Sorry. Hang on. Sorry.
Not clear to me what the review would entail. I'm sure that we set up, have the option when we set up the committee to develop the terms of reference. And everybody will presumably be happy with that because we'll do it collectively, at least the people on the committee will. So I'm not sure what the purpose of the review is and what you would do. Well, just to capture, sorry, capture what's in 4, but add it on to number 2, because I'm not saying we should do it with some immediacy. We'll have a new chief executive. We'll have some clearer indication of what's coming from government. We need to then reflect, are we best equipped to do what we do? But moving on the things that which Councillor Morrison said, is important that I think we all agree with. We need to move on that integrated approach. So it just gives us the right to have a review of how effective we are and is our structure right. But with your permission, Mr. Chairman, number 3, no, it's just been pointed out by Mr. Nelson that a review is already already there. If we agree to all of this, we agree to option 2, we're also agreeing that there will be a review undertaken within 6 months anyway, so that your amendment is not really necessary, is it?
Where does it say
I
that
see
for
that.
option 2?
Number 3.
Recommendation 3.
No, 3. Oh, okay, sorry. Yep, 6.
Oh, no, 3.
Okay. So that's cover that. So can we, you wanna?
But you're
We can do
saying
this
not-
amendment. Hang on, Eric, Alistair, hang on.
Sorry.
Oh, Paul, actually.
Yeah,
Paul,
so
for it.
are we making another option here?
Just clarify.
Are we making another option? That's my
So
question.
Chair, can I?
Yes.
So the reason for the review, I guess, is a lot of change coming at us in the next wee while. I'm not sure what that's going to be. So let's then have a look when that change comes at us. We can then stop and think, hey, is there anything that needs to be changed? We might have to follow a new committee or whatever, but that's what that's about. So it may not need that incorporated into your into option 2, the review. It's already there.
Right, okay, that's clear.
So
Sorry, Jan. do you want to
What's
explain?
being proposed currently is that you adopt an initial committee structure for 25 to 28 Geranium, retaining the current committee structure, but rename Regional Service Committee the Integrated Catchment Management Committee and update its terms of reference to reflect the integrated catchment management responsibilities, and to, with the Climate Change Subcommittee remaining disestablished and its functions incorporated into the terms of reference for the Strategy and Policy Committee. That's what you're proposing. And then the recommendation 3 takes care of your 6
Yeah.
months.
Good.
So is that comfortable, Linda, any?
Yeah, sorry, and I completely understand that, but for me, who might not support option 2 but supports option 1, building them together is a problem for me. Can we adopt option 1,
You talking around
the strategy and policy
side of things?
climate change subcommittees separately, so that I can vote separately on which of the other 2 options?
So we could. Yes. Oh, sorry. So we need to, you're voting, wanting to vote, put the climate change discussion into S&P.
Yeah.
We do that separately. And
Yeah,
then we
if
have
that's,
option-
if that's acceptable to my colleagues, otherwise I'll find another way.
Are we comfortable with that?
Would you like to move that?
Can we just move that? Yeah. Okay, so we're happy to do that.
So Chair, you're moving option 1. Is that what?
No, we're not option 1, no, it's just that part of the clause, that part.
Included.
So.
Can we get Jan to read that
Yeah,
out so we're all clear?
Sorry.
I'm not sure which order you wish to deal with.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Doesn't matter. Doesn't. It's a separate thing anyway, so.
The first part would be retain the current committee structure, but rename Regional Services Committee the Integrated Catchment Management Committee and update its terms of reference to reflect the integrated catchment management responsibilities. That would be the first part.
That.
Let's do that.
The review's been dealt with and we all good?
That's the whole committee structure. That's not just rolling the climate change subcommittee into the strategy and policy committee.
It's going to be the next.
That's a
one you do.
separate thing. We will move that separately. So we clear, we've got option 2 as Jan, sorry.
As it reads there, Mr. Chair.
As it reads? Yes. So can I have a mover and a seconder for that? And Jeff, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
No,
Really noted.
I'm not calling for a division, Chairman, I'm just recording my
All good?
disagreement.
And it's carried, the ayes have it. So we now will someone want to move that we.
Climate Change Subcommittee remains disestablished and its functions incorporated into the terms of reference for the Strategy and Policy Committee.
I would move that.
Paul and Phil, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Very good. Right, We move on to.
Just technically,
Just
we've
looking
got
here.
1 and 2 to deal with. Recommendations 1 and 2 receive the.
Okay,
report
receive the report
And adopt.
and.
Yeah. I'll receive the report. I'll move.
I was recommending all 8.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, we're 1 to 8. We're all happy to do all them. Yes? Okay, Eric's moving, who's seconding it? Roger, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank goodness.
Very.
No, right. Let's draft it out into them. So, we'll move on to 9.5 then. No, what have I missed now?
Through you, Chair.
Oh.
We need to move to the process to actually the appointments of the members for the committees now. Which is the process detailed on the whiteboard where each councillor or elected member can go and actually tick the committee they are actually interested in, and then we'll move to the next process. So there are plenty of whiteboard markers up there. If you would like to actually go and select the committees you are interested in.
Okay, that's a paper change.
At least that's, but I can't get the other one.
This side.
Yes, it's not.
Recommendation, doing us.
Yeah.
Well, it has a website.
Make sure I'm playing the ball, not the man, all that stuff.
That's what I'm asking. Yes, I'm happy to. Just picture. Yeah, I'll do it. We'll see you. Yeah. We'll leave it.
That's not my thing.
Jeremy. Jeremy.
I just want to because I'm interested.
There's one that was
Right. Well, clarify. Well, thanks for all that. We'll let Eric.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the discussion that's emanated and the resolutions that have been passed, the points that I made in an amendment have been subsumed. So with the approval of my seconder, I'd like to withdraw the amendment.
Oh, was it Roger? Sorry, I was thinking Roger.
Yeah,
I think it's the 6 months.
that immediately.
review.
He just was captured in what- Right, we just need to do that.
Are you happy with that, Roger?
Yes, happy to second that.
That's all good. Cleared that up. Yeah. Goodbye. All right. Oh, well, yeah, we'll go through those some things. So, looking at this was are we all happy with these in regards? I think it's definitely got a reasonable spread. Looking at the numbers in regards to the numbers and we did put the numbers up there that were associated with the last triennium, not necessarily whether they're correct or not, but just an indication of what they laid out. Obviously, the one that does stand out is the investments committee, and we just think maybe we're happy with that. We only had 3 in here, but two independents in regards to this. Now we just need to work out, are we happy to have 6 people involved in it? That's a council decision. It was at the end of the day, it's our decision. So it's, but there is, anybody can come into that committee and as say, everybody can be involved in it and have their say. Obviously the voting if you're not into it. So that's the discussion we need to have. I don't, in a nice way, whether we need all that many in that committee. That's all.
I believe 3 is
that's
the realistic.
And we if that's a discussion, I'm obviously involved in all the committees anyway. But I just want to have that discussion. What does people think?
You can scrub me if you want.
You sure? Oh, that's why I'm just put it out there.
No, you can scrub me.
All good.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to suggest that too, that anyone that wasn't really keen to sit on that committee could withdraw now. I would certainly like to stay on it.
Yeah. Well, do you want to?
Yeah, you can scrub me.
Okay.
Give me another privilege, don't.
Privilege in inverted commas.
So the others, there we go. Here, Jeff, Morris, Dwindle, and you. So it's just we can look at the end of the day if that's council wants. Council does control this. So
I personally have an interest in putting my name down, but I didn't because I feel the numbers. It needs to be. Yeah, we need to trust in independence. Being there as a guiding system. not an overarching force.
And the reality is that any of these decisions in here, as we have a workshop on Monday, it all comes back to council. And if there's anything that's made, it will be discussed around the council too, so. Just it's sort of a bit of a, that's an indication of probably 3 with the 2 independents is quite a good number, so I'm just trying to note it. But if we think 3, we've got, if we agree 3, then we have to have a vote on who goes on there. So are we happy with 5? Or if someone wants to move that there's, should be 3?
I would like
Give me an indication on.
I think the status quo is that it is 3 when we set it up. And if we're going to change from that, we would need a motion to say it should be X.
It's in the terms of reference, that's right. Yeah, it is, there is a number, isn't it?
Yeah, I would agree that we should.
So we have a vote.
We have to do it.
Yes. Everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I'll stick to the what terms of reference. Right, Jan. We have 5 different scores.
No, it's not straws, you need to.
Okay.
Bring it, make it.
More. So we'll.
Do you want to put a name back up, Alistair?
No.
If we go for a vote.
How, well, you explain the process, Jan.
Open voting, so it's a
Okay.
matter of, you should nominate, have a nominator and a seconder for each person and vote on whether or not those people should be by show of hands, and whether or not you support them going on to the committee.
Okay.
Well, we'll start at the top. I'll nominate Lyndall Ludlow.
I'll second it.
And I nominate you. Yeah, John.
Have any other nominations?
And I nominate Jeffrey.
Morris?
I nominate Eric. For the,
You need a seconder.
You need a seconder for Jeff, is there?
Yeah.
No, that's a, just. Any people hanging?
Second Eric's nomination.
Okay. So we've got everybody 5 being nominated. Is it 5?
That's one.
4?
Morris, not.
Morris.
I will nominate.
But hang on, what, you've got to watch here because the chairman of the finance committee automatically goes on.
No,
Not now.
no, I don't think.
Does that change?
Not in terms of reference.
Automatic.
No. I don't think it's. Morris. Yep. Okay. So this is gonna, okay. So then we go through vote for each one. And, yeah, how do we choose?
With elections normally moved and seconded, and then there's a moment to actually say what your aspirations are about, so.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, so I did indicate that, yeah, there we go. We'll give you a quick minute. Each one can present what they've got, so is that fair? Everyone happy? I know it's gonna drag things, but I mean, we've got to go through a process and it's gotta be fair, so it's quite right though. So I'm just gonna go from the bottom up. I've got here, Morris, do you wanna give us a minute?
yeah, no, I'm happy to promote myself, not that I'd like to do that normally. But I was on it last time. I think I make a positive contribution to the committee discussion and the voting. I argued that the chairperson of the Finance and Performance Committee should be on that committee because they're closely related. And we haven't had elections for that now, but I'll be hoping that I can take on that role again. Yeah, I know that the chairperson well, Andrew Morrison, maybe too well, some might say, but he's a very good chairperson, and Cassandra Cowley, I met her through that and going to the Southport board meetings, and I've got a lot of respect for her as well. So I think I can work well with them, and yeah,
about it, thank you.
Okay. Ewan?
Yeah, well, I believe I can bring some value, to the position based on the fact that, there's going to be some quite strategic decisions made over the next period of time. And I think it brings that capability around some of those strategic decisions that need to be made.
Thanks. Jeff?
Or, sorry, strategic recommendations, sorry, rather than decisions.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm a little bit like Morris. I don't want to promote myself, but I do have a bit of experience in investments and so forth, also with other organisations. Look, there are a number of issues there to address. Lower performing investments, I certainly want to see some change there. And I do know and have a good rapport with the current chair there. So I'm very happy to see what we can do to maximise our investment.
Thanks. Eric?
Thank you, yes. I'm keen to go back on this committee. I'm enthusiastic about finding the best return we've got across the spectrum of different things we've got, which is not only our funds invested, but also Southport shares and also our lands that we actually hold. I'm a past chair, immediate past chair of the Southport Committee. I've had considerable experience on fund management for other organisations. One of the things that may come up for decision is the resource we've got here in these buildings, and I also do project management of development. I'm currently involved in about a 6 million community project as well as a project manager. So I bring those things to the table and would be keen to get back on the committee.
Sorry. Thanks, Eric. Lyndall?
Thanks, Chairman. Likewise, don't like talking about it this way, but here we are. So I was involved in the Southport subcommittee right from my first term, so I've been involved in there for 9 years already. And that led to my involvement in establishing the risk and assurance and the investment committee. I've had involvement in the development of and would like to see its future progressed and solidified. Last time we were appointing the committee members, I stepped away to enable other councillors to have the opportunity to be involved. And probably most importantly actually is the fact that as the previous strategy and policy chair, it's really important to have a grip on how the investment portfolio is working to enable the strategy and policy decisions and vice versa, more importantly perhaps, that we're making. So, and also I don't profess to know everything about investment because that is not my background, and I've learned a lot, and I would like to use it as a continued professional development opportunity, so that I can add value to the strategy and policy conversations that we have later on. Thank you.
Thanks, just bear with us a minute here. Just
Voting.
trying to work out how to vote for 5 different. Everybody does.
You get 3 votes.
Only get 3 votes.
No, but it's the people have to get the majority of the votes in successive rounds.
So does everybody give us 3 of their names? And it's got to be done in open account. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I may help.
Morris.
Last time we had a secret ballot, which I would.
It's not we have to do it.
We have to do it.
Voting, it's appointments to committees.
That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not secret.
We wrote names of 3 people down on a piece of paper.
Yes.
You really vote that person has more than 5.
Yeah. But it's actually just working out, we've all got 3 votes for the people and everybody's, and we've got to do it openly. It can't be secret. It's got to, basically people need to just say their names. Is that coming to?
Mr. Chair, normally the way this would be done is you would vote for your most preferred candidate. And when you've got the first one, then you can go back into the next one and no problems.
Okay,
But, voting for three at once.
so going around everyone and say, give us your first.
Yeah.
Hang on, sorry, hang on.
To do with like you have.
Look, I'll adjourn, if it's okay, we'll adjourn this meeting while we have a wee sort out and we'll come back. Thanks. Yeah, give us 5 minutes.
Just saying when.
We'll work this out. We're all good. Okay, back to our council meeting. We'll just move on in regards to the voting of the investments committee, but Morris.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chairman, no, I'm happy to pull out and let the others have a go for a bit of a change there.
Okay, so that leaves us with 4. I'll go through the how we're doing the voting. We've randomly picked the who's going to get voted on first. This is randomly done by the staff. So you all have 3 votes. There'll be 4 rounds of voting for each person. Staff are going to be writing down. Make sure you don't have 4 votes. And at the end of the day, technically speaking, if the winning vote, you're meant to have a majority, so there'll be 7 votes out of 12. And you've got to get 7. But if nobody got 7, the bottom one will drop off, and we're going to be left with 3. So either way, it's going to be, we won't have to get 7. One's going to drop off. So we're all clear that you get 3 votes. So technically, we'll start with Lyndall. Everybody can put a vote for Lyndall. Hold back. Some you're going to have to hold back if need be. So we all clear in regards to that?
Hands.
Yes, show of hands. And we can record it. Right. So, well, we'll put Lyndall up. All in favour, say aye. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Yep. All in favour of Jeff. Yep, 8. All in favour of Ewan. 3, 6, 9. And all in favour of Eric. Yeah. 11, is it? 11. Right.
Right.
The winners are.
Jeffrey, Ewan and Eric.
Very good. Thank you, Lyndall, for your participation.
I'll come to the meetings and annoy you anyways.
You just get a majority though. That's the interesting thing. So,
See how that works.
yeah, well, if you got majority, what else? No, okay, that's the democracy working. So here we are.
Resolution to confirm the members appointed to the investment committee and that the chair will be an ex officio member.
I've got a resolution. Did everybody hear that? Yes. Yep. In regards to that, so can we have a mover on the second, David? Second, Paul. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, we need to work through the, for each committee, we've got to,
Confirm the appointment.
yeah. So we've got to confirm, is there recommendations or do we just confirm? Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll go.
Do you want to go with the financial committee?
We'll confirm the appointments to the finance and
6, and you've got 6 people.
6 there. So we're all happy with that. Can I?
With the chair appointed as ex officio.
So we'll make the chair will be ex officio in every committee. So all in favour of that? No. Mover. Sorry, mover and seconder. Move Alistair and Roger seconder. All in favour of that?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Move under the risk and assurance
We've got 5 people interested. The membership is 5.
plus the one independent chair. So I'll have a mover and a seconder for that. We're happy, sorry.
6 there, aren't there?
What was that? Roger, is that
Roger,
okay?
is that a tick, Roger?
There's a mark in that box. A positive mark.
You started with ticks and then okay,
So
so
my shoulder was hard to reach across.
Well, it clearly wasn't me.
That's all right.
it'll be okay. You know, I'm thinking that's good as gold in regards to that. So we're happy with that. I'll move and seconder for the risk insurance. Alistair, John, all in favour say aye. Against, carried. Move on to the ICM committee. We've got 8 and I think we've got 8. Oh, we've actually got more there, but that's going to be, I think, I don't mind having all of them be fairly involved. There is 10, but it's going to be really, like, it's hugely important if we're doing, if we're all happy. We'll move it. Jeff seconded it. We all.
It's actually chair of the whole.
Because you're the only name missing from the
Oh, okay.
ex officio, so.
That's fine. Okay, well, it's a committee of the whole. We're all happy with that. Okay, I'll put that. All in favour say aye. Against, carried. We move on to regulatory. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there.
7 it is.
Yep, 7 it is. We're all happy with that.
Can I add my name to that then, seeing as I'm not on the investment committee, I'd like to.
We're in the regulatory.
Yeah,
Yep.
is that all right?
Yeah, you have got your tick there.
Can't say.
It's a little thing.
That's just sort of.
That's
your
me,
Roger
just a little
and your tick.
I don't know where.
So happy with that. Have we got a mover and a seconder for regulatory?
I'll move that.
And David. All in favour say aye. Against, carried. Moving and Stratton Poll is basically everything apart from Jeff. So
You pick Jeff because it's the committee of the whole,
I'm going to get away with that. It's an all council, all committee. You want to be the odd one out, Jeff. You don't want to be the odd one out. No.
Put me on the.
Okay, I'll have a mover and seconder for that. Morris, Lyndall, all in favour, say aye. Yes, carry. Well done. And now we move on to. Go ahead and here, here my up. So we do the appointment of the chairs of those committees now. Right. Make it start. All good. So we've got Stratton Poll. Do I have a nomination for? Hang on. Yep, John Lyndall. Morris, sorry, Morris over here. Do I have any other nominations? I will put that to the vote. We do have to, yes, we have to put a vote. All in favour, say aye. Against? Okay, carry. Well done, Lyndall.
Thanks, 1 out of 3, no.
We'll go to the regulatory. Do I have any nominations for chair of the regulatory committee?
I would like to nominate Paul.
Okay.
Seconded.
Eric, seconded it. Any other nominations for the regulatory? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Against? Carry. Very good. Move on to the ICM new committee. Can I have a nomination for a chair for that, please?
I'll nominate David Rowe.
Okay.
Nominate John Pemberton.
Right. Do we have a seconder for David?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. We've got one and John Pemberton.
I'll second John.
Okay. Any other nominations in regards to the ICM? No. So we do a vote.
Has to receive a majority of votes.
Okay. Randomly first person.
Do they want to make a speech first?
Well, actually, yes. Yes. Sorry. We'll give you a minute. There you go. Sell yourself for a minute.
Who do you want first?
David, you got a first
Yeah,
nomination.
okay, thank you. Well, I guess I have had a long association with Petfits and liaison committees and all of those issues, not just the Arete, but right across at times for the combined as well. So I think I've got reasonably deep knowledge of a lot of stuff that goes on in that space. I guess I live on the river and yeah, all this Kanoa stuff that's happening is important that we get it right and that we bring it in on budget and that we show our ratepayers they're getting good value for money and we're making a good job of it, which is really important. And we need to work a bit harder on that. So it's one of the big things I see going forward. Yeah, so that's me.
Thank you, David. John?
Thank you. Yeah, also live on the Matera River, a couple of properties there. I guess this last triennium was we had a lot of engagement with the liaison committees and the rate restructuring, how that looks at flooding. Also, time at Thriving Southland has helped with connecting through catchment groups, involved with several myself, and I guess, you know, looking over like I was seeing here, structuring their integrated catchment model, how can we roll it out with the challenges of trying to broaden that up the valleys is going to be quite a mission. And yes, the Kanai funding, to agree with David, Kanai funding is key to resilience for the community and how we deliver on that. Thank you.
Okay, did randomly. We'll go with the voting, and I've randomly picked all in favour of John first. Only 5, 9. All in favour of David. And vote for yourself. All good. Give you elect John to the chair of the ICM. Well done. We move on to the risk and assurance. No, that's independent. To finance and performance. I have a nomination for chair for finance and performance.
Nominate Morris.
Does Morris have a seconder? Lyndall, do we have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate
Alistair. Does Alistair have a seconder? Do that, Jeff? Okay. As before, I'll give you a minute. Councillor Morris, who would like that? Morris, you're the first. You get away, or Alistair?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, you go for it.
My main reason for looking at finance and performance is finance is what I've dealt with for all of my life. Secondly, in different situations throughout many operations that are reasonably large. But secondly, the main thrust on it is to push the performance. Now, financial and the performance of our operation, our total operation, and get that so that we can use that sort of thing to advertise that we are doing well as a organisation. That would be a real main thrust.
Thank you, Alistair. Morris?
Yes, well, I've been the chairman of this committee in the last term. One of the important things I think to be a chair of the committee is to make sure that the committee is run well, everybody gets an opportunity to have a say, and we focus on the big issues and working with the staff to make sure that everything is presented clearly so that everybody understands where the money is going to, where it's coming from, and if there are any questions that anybody has, making sure that they are answered fully. And if there are any concerns, then we follow that up and make sure that it's completely transparent. So that's my main role. It's really as a facilitator. I don't claim to have any great financial expertise, but just to make sure that the committee runs well, information is available for everybody, and we encourage people who participate to ask questions and make sure that there are there's nothing that people are unhappy about.
Thank you, Mark. I pulled out Morris's name for the first in regards to voting. So all in favour of Morris, raise your hands. 1, 3, 7. All in favour for Alistair, raise your hands. 5. Morris has the votes. So you've been duly elected as chair. Thanks, guys.
Good work.
Investment committees, independent chair. So that is those committees all sorted. Thank you very much. Now,
Is that the end of that item then?
That is the end of it.
So that's the end of that item, and we'll move on to 9.5. On the other committees and co-opted members and appointments to other bodies. I'll let you, sorry, Paula.
Sorry.
We'll give you
I'm
some
not
time.
asking.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Firstly, I'd like, through your chair, to note the report is read, take the report is read. The purpose of the report is to look at appointments to other committees, co-opted members, appointments to other bodies, so trusts and other committees effectively. What we've done with this report is we've looked at each committee and each trust, and we have a recommendation for each individual trust or body. So I think we ended up with about 5 or 6 of them, maybe. So if we just go through each committee or body and then appoint what's required from the council. So for our first one is the Southland Civil Defence Emergency Group representation. It's a joint committee. In the inaugural meeting on the 28th, council established the joint committee and resolved to appoint our chairperson as a representative to the Southland Civil Defence Emergency Group, and deferred the appointment of the alternative representative. So the purpose of this report today is to actually appoint the alternative representative to the Southland Civil Defence Emergency Group, and delegate to the councillor the necessary authorities to act as a representative on the Southland Civil Defence Emergency Management Group.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Just in regards to this, obviously, we did talk about, I got put there as just as the person to be at the time. The alternate would probably, we did talk that there might be a better person suited, location and everything to this position. So I'm just, in the future, it may change around. We can't do it today, but whoever probably the alternate probably thought might have moved into the representative. Is that, I'm just sort of putting that there. I don't know. We discuss it if we want. I'm just, because I did say that at the beginning that I'd like to.
So you could note that.
We can't change it today, I don't think.
Well, the last triennium, it was represented by Councillor Cock with the chairman being the alternate. So you could change the recommendation, I'm guessing, to actually reflect.
You could do that today. We haven't notified the public. You have.
No, yeah.
You're all good. Okay. We weren't able to. So just to have a discuss that if there is a better.
Do we do that before or after nominations?
Well, it's just, yeah, where do we do that? Do we say?
Now's the time to do it.
They were actually
Make your decision on
appointing the
who will
person.
be the
Yeah, who the appointee. We'll discuss who the appointee, if that's right.
Yeah, just want to clarify that if there is another person who's the appointee, the chairman would be the alternate.
Yeah, well, if everybody happy, I'm just saying.
Just
yeah.
want to make that clear that we're
Yeah,
not
definitely.
actually putting up 2 positions, we're putting up.
Yeah, I just think, just personally, this location thing, and as a state of emergency, I might be stuck out in the wop, so to speak.
I'd like to nominate.
Okay.
Second that.
Right, do we have anybody else nominations? Or this is for the appointee in regards to this? Right,
Yeah, I just wanted to support my nomination by my seconding of the nomination by saying that A, location, B, experience, and C, Phil's the deputy chair, so we're not compromising the mana at the table with our colleagues.
just in regards, Phil, are you happy to do this?
Yeah.
And you have told me that you have had experience of.
Yeah, I previously served regionally as a liaison officer from the New Zealand Defence Force to the Emergency Coordination Centre during flood 2020 and some previous experience with the military prior to that.
That's
Another 2 reasons for my nomination. because Phil's experience with organising events with the army, also centralised to close to the civil defence emergency.
Okay. So no other motions. I'll put the vote all in favour for Bill to be the, Councillor Morrison to be the appointee.
Right.
Might just raise your hands. Just please. Against? Carried. Well done, Bill. Not the job for you. And now we go to the alternate. Well, so we've got a recommendation. Are you happy, or a recommendation who the appointee should be? That alternate?
Chair is the alternate.
Second.
Okay, anybody else? No? Okay, I'll put that all in favour, say aye. Against, carry. So we got, do we just, we have to, we actually done one, number two, do we have to do two? Yeah, so we've got a recommendation, someone to,
Yep.
Move, number two, Lyndall, second. Roger, second, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carried, against, carried. Right, we'll move on to the Regional Transport Committee.
So again, at the informal meeting on the 28th, council established the Southern Regional Transport Committee, but deferred making the appointments. So we need a membership, or our representation is 2 people. And the council must appoint from its representatives the chair and deputy chair of the committee. It was noted that in this report that another report would be coming to the council meeting on the 10th of December, but that report is actually going to be delayed because Otago Regional Council haven't made or confirmed their appointments as yet. So that report will come to the council in the new year. So the recommendation is to appoint 2 representatives to the Regional Transport Committee, and from those appointments elect the chair and the deputy chair from Environment Southland.
We nominate 2 people, one person can nominate 2 people, is that okay? Or is any?
You do it.
Any good individual?
I think we've got to identify the chair first, because they become the co-chair of the committee, don't they?
Yeah, we've got 2 people we've got to nominate. We pick 2 people and then we choose a chair for our Regional Transport Committee. So
Nominate Phil Morrison.
I'm happy to move that, second that, I should say. We need another.
I'll nominate Alistair Gibson.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got any other people? All in favour of those 2 representing the Regional Transport, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Now we need to elect one as chair, and I'm happy to nominate Phil.
I'll second it. It's quick.
Motion included.
All in favour, say aye. Against, carried. That's exciting.
So to Rupatara Atayo, council is required to make a minimum of 1 appointment to this committee. The past practice has been the chairperson of the council as the appointee. In more recent times, we've actually had councillors express interest, and we actually made additional appointments. And in the last triennium, the chair and Councillor Guyton and Rodway were also representatives on the body. Just note that only 2 of the representatives have voting rights. The recommendation is to appoint Chairman Jeremy McPhail as a representative to the body, and also appoint another representative or more if there is interest, noting that there is only 2 that have voting rights.
I would like to nominate Lyndall.
Yeah, second that.
Can I nominate Roger Hodgson?
Okay, we've got a seconder for Roger. Phil. no other nominations. Oh, what's, Morris, were you?
Outside of.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we've got two appointees. We did have two extra representatives, I should say. Only one of them will have voting rights. So if we're all happy that we put, Roger and Linda can go.
We'll pick it out in the car park after.
Okay. No, well, I'll put those. I'll do the recommendation. We've got two appointees. And I can, do we need to work out who to do? We can sort that out.
But I think
Okay.
Roger and
Okay.
I are under the understanding that one of us has a vote, and one of us doesn't. Whoever, if we're both there, we'll work it out.
Right, so we got Councillor Hodson and Councillor Ludlow and myself. So the recommendations for 1 and 2, we've got a mover for those. Yes, Eric. Phil seconded it. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Point of clarification.
Yep, sorry. Yep.
Chair. So it says here in the, that actually 2 of the representatives have voting rights.
Yes. No, I have, and then.
Yes. So one.
We'll do whatever.
Sorry, you did clarify.
Yeah, no, I was just making sure that, I'll sort it out. Right, we'll move on to the Bluff Maritime Museum Trust. My name there too. Yeah. Sorry,
So the Bluff Maritime Trust, we normally have 2 representatives, being the chairperson or nominee, and the chief executive or their nominee. The recommendation is to appoint our chairman or his nominee as the representative to the Bluff Maritime Museum Trust, and appoint the chief executive or his nominee to represent the Bluff Maritime Trust. Just note that in the last triennium, it was Councillor Cook being the nominee from the chairman, and our general manager, people and capabilities, Amy, as the representatives.
Chairman, can I just ask whether we actually need to make a nomination for your nominee, or whether that's a decision that you can make in your role as chairman? You can just nominate somebody to attend on your behalf.
Can I ask, does anybody obviously have an interest in this? Like, I'm happy to represent. I'm representing it, so no, that's fine. Or I can talk later in regards. Okay, so you're happy with that too, CE?
Just nod.
Yes, yeah. Okay, we've got 2 recommendations there. I can have a mover and a seconder, please. Lyndall and David, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Mana Te Waituna. Charitable trusts. Oh.
So the trust requires a representative from Environment Southland to actually act as a trustee, provided in the trust deed. Environment Southland trustee acts as the co-chair of the trust beside the Arotorunga representative. In the past triennium, the former chairman was the representative and the co-chair of the trust. So it's recommended to appoint a representative to the trust to act as a trustee, and direct staff to take whatever action is required to formalise the appointment.
Okay, yes, Alistair.
I'd like to nominate John Pemberton.
Okay, do I remove?
No, I think it would be entirely appropriate for the chair of the ICM committee to be the representative on the trust board, so absolutely.
That's good. Any other nominations? No, I'll put that to the vote. All in favour, say aye. That John. Very good. Thank you, John. You'll represent us well down there. Very good. Also, yeah, I didn't include the number 2, so I'll take it. We'll do those recommendations, just a mover and seconder for those recommendations now. Phil, Lyndall, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Right, we'll move on to Health and Community Broadcasters Charitable Trust.
So the council is a member of the board under the terms of the trust deed, and we are asked to appoint one representative to advise the board in writing who the representative is. The former representative was Councillor Cook. So the recommendation is to appoint a representative to the board and also to direct staff to advise the board in writing of that appointment.
Do we have Councillor Lindo standing down while we have this discussion? Anybody want to do this job? I will do it if need be, but I'm just asking. Morris, did you put your hand up?
No, not really have nominated issues.
Yep.
Well, can we get clarification? What is nominated? We can't nominate. We can't nominate Lyndall.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh, I don't know whether you can, but it would be worth
You
it.
disclose your interest, but can we ask Lyndall? Can we ask Lyndall, would you do it? Or do you see it as a problem?
Well,
You've declared your.
having declared the interest, I would like to say one thing that might matter. The council's involvement in this trust is because of the emergency management relationship it has with the terrestrial radio and getting information out. So that's the kind of contribution we should make to that trust board. Happy to do it if it's allowed, but I think perception wise it would be pretty terrible.
You stay under the EMS side of things.
Yeah, that's why.
That's your job then, Phil.
Councillor Chairman, I'll nominate Lyndall if it's allowed under the.
I think what Lyndall might be, sorry, I'll just to clarify, there is a nomination, is that Phil being with EMS and that connection to the radio, so that would be logical. So I mean, if someone wanted to nominate Phil.
Or I could add to my nomination of yourself, or your nominee.
Well, given the
We'll just.
criteria that
Yeah.
it makes sense that somebody needs.
So, if we're going to nominate for Phil.
Yeah, I'll give you the nomination. I'll see.
John. On favour, say aye. Against, carried, and then can I have someone to move those two recommendations, please?
I'll move that way.
Yep, you on that. Jeff, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Right, we've got the Regional Climate Change Working Group.
With regards to this group, we require 2 representatives for the group. One being the representative and the other being the alternate. And the past training had Councillor Morrison, who was also the co-chair to the group, and Councillor Rodway as the alternative.
Okay, do we have expressions of interest? Morris.
Morrison.
That's Morrison, we have a mover.
I'll
Seconder.
And I would like to nominate
Councillor Rod, do I have a seconder for Councillor Rodway? You? Do I have any other nominations? Then we've got 2 people. We'll put, sorry.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Councillor Morrison, are you
Kind of approaching to the schedule, but because I get to manage my own schedule and things like the broadcasting, it's not an onerous task. For example, the Regional Climate Change Working Group is one that I've heavily invested in for the last 3 years, and I would like to continue to provide continuity to that effort, working forward, knowing that the pathway forward is not necessarily clear to everyone, help navigate that uncertainty. Yeah.
Good point. We're in there. So I've got 2 nominations. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against, carried. And can I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendations, please? I'm going to Jeff. Alistair. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Very well done. Right, we move to the Waiau River Working Party.
So
Sorry, Jeff.
our final,
Eddie.
our final appointment for today. So with regards to the Waiau River Working Party, we require 2 representatives or 2 appointees. In the past, it was Pete McDonald and Paul Evans. It's noted also that Councillor Morris Rodway currently chair of the YR Working Party. Was. Thank you. So our recommendation is to appoint two councillor or representatives to the YR group.
Thanks. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate, Ewan, please.
Seconder, Roger? Yes.
Could I nominate, councillor Evans?
Councillor Evans, yeah, we've got a mover, seconder, Roger again. Do we have any other nominations? All right, I'll put that to the vote. We've got,
What
sorry.
about councillor,
Morrison.
he's got to be on.
Yeah, quite. I don't know if we're all comfortable with that. No nomination. We'll put those two nominations. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Well done.
Thank you, Jeremy. Just to note, Roger will be on it anyway.
Sorry.
Roger is on it
Yep.
anyway, as other.
No, that's good. We've got good representation there. So just one recommendation there. Can I move her? So put them onto the royal party. Lyndall, a second. Alistair. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Chairman, I don't
Yes.
believe we moved recommendation one that we received.
I'll take it. Thank you. Right. Recommendation, we better receive it. We've just gone through it. So, and I'm move for and second for the received report.
I've moved it.
Thank you, Eric. Roger. All in favour, say aye. Groundwork for get into the report.
Just a question. No, committee, but when do we appoint the judges for the environmental awards? Is that another meeting?
It does, comes up through the year. The comms team generally bring a report. There's a policy around those appointments, so that it will be fitted into the timetable.
We sort of, I might be a lone wolf here, but I'm looking at, get one that's continuous for 2 years and get a new one. And then keep rotating it.
Yeah.
Because it's so important to get people out there. Yeah.
No, we'll have a bit of time to bring that one, really discuss that. Good, very honest. When it does come up to council, we'll certainly thought through that. Well, right, we'll move on to, that's the end of that item, yes? 9.6, is it? Biosecurity. Back into business. Lucy. Well,
I think the report was read and I'm happy to answer any questions through your chair, but I just note this is a requirement under the Biosecurity Act that we provide you with an annual report in terms of what the teams have been delivering in regards to our operational plans for our biosecurity work. This is one of the first times it's looked like this, so keen for any feedback on the structure, etc. Normally this would go through to the Regional Services Committee and then through to council sign off. So this year we've gotten it in here to your fine self, so you've got a chance to have a look at it, and so that we're still complying with Biosecurity Act requirements. So I'm happy to answer any questions, Chair.
yep. No, it's all good. Paul.
Thank you. Through the chair. Lucy, I read earlier in one of the reports that with the weather event, we've had some issues with traps, ETAs, and it looked like is that going to achieve their, or is that going to affect their programs going forward? With some traps.
Through you, Chair, so potentially the team are scoping up what the impacts actually are at the moment. So the report, this report's kind of a backwards looking what we've achieved thus far, and so in terms of what we need to be thinking about next year, the work programme that will come through to the new Integrated Capital Management Committee can outline at this point we don't know.
But Alistair. Lyndall.
Jolly, I've had meetings with her over this, the world and kind thing. It's never going, I see when we go down the bottom page of 78, partially achieved. I think we're going backwards, to be honest with you, because there's more and more forests going in and there's more and more going out. How do we get the sort of, because Many landowner, not very happy with what he's been received from the
So, through you, Chair, it's kind of a multi-pronged approach for the wild situation, and I agree there is a concern about the backward movement or backward movement and an emerging threat as well. The staff here at the executive level have got a workshop on Monday to talk about proposed solutions that we're intending to bring back to yourselves so that we can give us some direction about how hard you want to. That'll be hopefully pre-Christmas.
I think Jeff probably fairly close to this.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, look, I do have a conflict of interest in being a recipient of some of the wild trees, unfortunately, and I'm also on the Living Wild Tree Service. But look, we've done our best over the last 19 years, and it's a serious problem. Wild trees are probably the number one biodiversity issue that we've got in the whole of the country. So look, if I can just encourage everyone to lobby any MPs and ministers to increase funding, because it's all reliant on funding. So that's what we've been doing in the last couple of years. And you're quite right there, that we are starting to almost go backwards because of lack of funding in the last 2 years.
Alistair, you.
Just to make comment on that though, the forest owners don't seem to have any obligations.
Yeah, through you, Chair. That is probably there's an element of truth in that under what do they call it? The with some of the production forestry.
There are a few issues with it.
Yeah, so through you, Chair, there are some limitations, but it's certainly catching all of the problems. And so in terms of the multiple levers we've got in front of us to pull, some of them are already before us, some are new, and some will need some additional funding. And keep it
we need, I mean, what's needed here is investment. We need about another 25 million a year across the country. At the moment, government's spending about, well, government and council spending about 20 million. Ballpark. We need another 25. We're just at the point now where we're starting to actually having to prioritise, and some operations won't be maintained. And so we're hardly treating water. Probably we are going backwards. That'll accelerate that backward movement coming up. So we can't seem to get the attention of the decision makers in government. Most of the ministers are all in agreement around this, but actually, it's recognising money's tight. Really they're not listening to questions. We are talking to MPI, and we should talk about a multi-pronged approach. So there's the regional seas and also the South Island seas and Cheers have agreed this is a priority. So we are going to be putting some extra horsepower in. It is around more investment. It is also in terms of South and Otago, how do we manage these newer plantings of Douglas fir? Douglas fir is seen as a production species that's favourable. So it's a challenge for us. We'll have to turn that around, and we'll have to put some liability on those people who've got plantations of, and that's a big challenge. I've been involved in pest management plans before. We've tried to identify Douglas fir as a pest, and the industries are certainly not very keen on that, as you can appreciate. But this is, and I think as Councillor Young said, this is certainly the biggest biodiversity threat to our tussock-grasslands in the South Island and Central North Island. I'm not sure that's widely understood. So, a few of us attended a wildland conference in Tysel a couple of months ago. Sally Out House, everyone there. The problem is it's sort of talking to the community, so actually how do we spread this message out? So yeah, I'm agreeing fiercely that we need investment, and the team will come back to us with a bit more detail.
Yeah, thanks, Lyndall Morris. Your questions involved in the
I was going to ask about one. Don't need to now.
3 or 4. I take it they're all associated with the pines. So I'll go through them. Jon, do you want to?
Well, it's just to state, and I'm pretty sure I read it was in your latest update, Rob, a report from the trust chief. So that makes quite good reading. it sort of outlines those challenges and what you're been able to do over the last few months.
And just a bit more context, that's, I remember back in the day, that was going to be about a $2.5 million project. For yearly fit out of 3 years. It's become now, well in excess of $20-30 million. So that's how that exponential. Every year, you don't do anything, you get a 30% increase. So that's pretty significant.
John, did you have a question? Or you, no? Oh, good. I can cross you off. Just, are we talking about the pines here? Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to.
Give notice that on the 27th of March next year, there's a field day at Glenary where cross-party politicians and a range of people are invited to discuss the problem from a South Island perspective. And it would be something we should note in our diaries, because we need, if they're getting all the politicians across the field, and it's going to also raise some other ways for how this can actually be funded. I've been invited to be a speaker on the political aspects, not the environmental aspects. That's how I know it's on. So we can just 27th of March, Friday, at Glenary.
Yeah. That's good. We've got Roger.
Not tree related.
Okay, if it's not tree related, if everybody's on trees, that's all good. Lyndall, and then Morris.
3 quick things, I think. Setting lofty goals means that sometimes they're hard to achieve, so I appreciate that. What I'd be really interested in is any trending of not achieved or partially achieved, and also the pay forward of that. So if there are items that have been incomplete or partly achieved or not achieved, how is that going to affect our forward planning for annual plan, budgets, LTP ultimately? So, because quite often there's a wee bit of a disconnect between, the cut-off report and then we make decisions. I think it needs to be more clear for us about how that carryover goes forward. So that would be helpful. And on that, on page 93, I think probably concerns me most out of the whole lot is the incomplete surveillance and monitoring capacity and capability, in the comment that the program needs direction and collaboration internally and with other agencies. So I like to think that perhaps will be enhanced by the new committee. But yeah, that was a concern of mine, expressing rather than enhancing.
Through Chair, I can just provide comment on the first part, the trending not achieved and incomplete. I'll find out. I'll look back on the ones from last year so I can find information out. And in terms of the forecasting for next year onwards, definitely a matter that I'll keep live for the new committees. So we can report through on that first one of those. On the incomplete, on 93, I think one of the reasons for it being incomplete this year has been we've done an awful lot of work in freshwater, we've done an awful lot of work in biosecurity and an awful lot of biodiversity, but we haven't weaved those things together yet. And I think that's noting that there's more to be done there. So I think we will be going into.
Couple of questions. First one about possums. On page 87. It says the program's been achieved, but what do we know about possums throughout the region, not just in the PCA areas? Do we know if they are increasing or decreasing? Do we know if they've achieved, if they're at the level of that catch rate? That the program is going to be reviewed. Does this mean that we can budget for something different if the population is not being kept at that level throughout the region? We have talked about this before. I know there's been reports. Burgess has produced reports before about using contractors rather than volunteers. Is that all part of the review, and will it be able to be brought in for the next financial year.
So through you, Chair, so what do we know across the region outside of the PCAs is mostly anecdotal, but the team also do spot checks in other places with traps that are outside of the PCAs, but it's fairly intermittent. The PCAs is where we get the bulk of our information from. But I can follow up with Dave and find out if I'm a bit more detail there that he is holding. In terms of the review, core business for this triennium is to make sure that we've got it set up in the right way and we need to make tweaks that we've got that in front of the council for your direction. It probably won't be for the next financial year. It could be more substantial than that, but we certainly will be coming back to you early in the new year with some scope conversations to figure out how much review you might want us to be undertaking to feed into the LTP, probably not into the annual plan. We've just set up some new ones, so they are successful, but it's actually looking at the opportunity in the next LTP to do different or more.
Roger, Alistair, and then John, and keep moving.
Me?
Yeah, Roger.
Thank you. Right. Some of mine has kind of been addressed, but I'll make the point. In terms of what's incomplete there, it looks like it's the review of strategy.
Sorry. Go again, sorry.
In terms of what's incomplete there, it looks like it's the review of strategy, and I see there's a comment there that it's been paused for some reasons, and just seeking confirmation that that's going to be picked up. And I guess the context for that is that having those up to date and important under a changing climate is incredibly relevant, given that changing climate presents the risk that what can't currently grow here, and we've probably been blessed in Southland with having climate that hasn't favoured incursions of some of the plants and fauna that we don't want changes, and so that risk can increase. So I thought I can get confirmation that that's back on the table, and then following up, and this is very further to Lyndall's point on the freshwater programs. Just wondering, well, two things there. One, I see reference to the Southern Lakes kind of through that. So can we get confirmation that that is actually Southland distribution of freshwater pests and plants that we're referring to, or not? And then subsequently, keen to understand how we can achieve that without having surveillance capacity in place.
Okay, give it there. So on the through you, Chair, the first part around the review and updating of biosecurity strategy was paused in the last financial year because we didn't have the resources in place to do it. We're getting those resources in place, and the intention would be that that is back on the table for this financial year. We've got a contractor lined up to help us with that as a scope document we've been discussing with our partners, and we're ready to kind of bring that back to you again for sense checking on the scope and the timeline, making sure that it's got what you need. So whether climate change is suitably reflected or not, we can certainly think about that when we bring that back to you. The second part around the Southern Lakes area, I'm not entirely sure it would be the Southern Lakes and the Southern Lakes.
Yes, that is a joint monitoring program covering all the Southern Lakes, and so we're looking at the spread of lagrosiphon as it comes through. So we do our monitoring in conjunction with them at the same time. So it's actually a Southern Lakes strategy. Obviously, we're only involved, or we're not. I was going to say we're only interested in South, and we're not. We're interested in the whole spread of it. So that's just part of that wider program that covers all of the Southern Lakes. So we, from a cost-effective point of view, we just work in with that.
So the spatial resolution of the monitoring is limited to the lakes.
Yeah, my understanding, yes. I can find that out. Yeah.
My understanding is that reed sweetgrass is present in much wider areas of Southland than lakes. So I'm unclear whether this is an accurate reflection of the program.
There has been work on weed sweetgrass, but particularly prevalent in lower reaches, and removal of it has occurred. I don't know the exact details, but also with lagrosiphon, it was discovered in the Arita River and occurs. And I think it occurs in the Waihopa as well.
So, just to clarify, this is primarily the joint work that we do with DOC, so there would be other surveys that we're involved in ours, but that's one of the parts that we're in that incomplete section just below there, that needs to review and make sure we've actually got what we need. So, yes, let me come back to you though with a definitive answer.
Right. Okay. Alistair.
Yeah, like, I know the possible numbers are improving substantially by the numbers that hit the bottom end of my car. And secondly, that's not the biggest problem of what's going on here now. It's the increase in the planting of all these forests. And the only thing that's going to happen there is one of three: more pigs, more possums, more deer, more wild and vine. So really what's going on at the moment, it's probably better to be planning going forward.
Just keep it loosely. We're reporting against year one of your 5-year action plan. And I just wonder whether it might be worth us circulating the 5-year, coming back to Councillor Ludlow's question. They won't get lost because you're actually tracking over 5 years of what these things, and we can't do year two. We have to report against to you next year if we haven't completed year one. So basically they won't get lost. So I don't know, I believe the previous councillors would have seen that, but I'm not quite sure whether it's up on our website, the operational action plan.
Right. Well, John, last
Yeah,
question, we're going to give
this
us.
meeting was we said,
Okay.
I guess just looking at what is our strategy across the whole board of pest management in Southland, and personally, like I said, the LTV, but I can just see the level of effort required is, and regionally, outside our region, how we, Otago on the borders, we're working with them, quite concerned we are going to lose a lot of nature to these pests that should be water quality, you name it, PV risk, it's not just one touch point we have an issue with.
All good. Right. Can I have a member to recommend to receive that report? Paul, second, you all in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Right, move on. Reporting of the contract against the delegated authority.
Me, I wrote.
You're going to do that?
And that is just it, it's a straightforward report. Whenever we enter into contract that exceeds the delegations provided in the delegations manual, asked me to report it up to council. The report sets out the contract that was entered into, and expenditure is yet to be incurred against some of it. That may also get reported up here if it exceeds the delegations. It's all programmed within the current budget.
Process. So, yep, I've got two recommendations. Can I move and second? Is there a discussion? Morris, all in favour say aye. Against, carried. Move on. Councillor Diary.
Get off of that.
Hey. Shouldn't worry about that. Yeah, diary update for November. So, Dan, this will you too.
And I understand there's some interest in attendance at a conference that.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I would be. And this is the time to deal with it under this item.
Yeah. So can we add that or that conference? You'll know when it is.
Yeah, I'm not available.
No, but you'll know when it is.
Yeah, it's next Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday.
Get the right days if you go in Morris. That's what I'd say. Right, is there any additions or?
So do you know of any other appointments or any other requests for leave of absence I need to know about?
Yeah.
I don't think I require to be in play for 24th, 28th.
It's fine.
It was hard to keep up track with you, John, where you were.
26. 26, 27.
Right. So we're all happy. Nobody's any additions or that's all good. I will ask for
So that's those recommendations plus approve the attendance of Councillor Rodway. Name of it on the 26th. Alpine Lakes Forum
Okay.
on the 26th and 27th of November.
So I've got the three recommendations and what it's just indicated. I'll move on second for that.
I'll move that.
Roger, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Moving on to common seal. Eric's always on.
Every time.
What are you moving, Eric?
Recommendation 9.9.
Very good. We're all happy there. Can I have a seconder for that? David, all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Right, move. We're in the big E, I think.
And moving into public excluded business to confirm the minutes of the public excluded meeting of council taken on the 28th of October. And to deal with one item of public excluded business was the Kanoa update. The grounds are set out on page 104 of your agenda.
Very good. Can I have a mover for that? Well, thank you. Roger, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Strike while we move.
Yeah. I'm not going to shut. Not the Teams link, Lucy, the need to join the Zoom.
I'm good.
Still got it, photos. It's a live stream finished.
Okay.